Greetings, greetings, greetings and salutations one and all. Welcome, 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 welcome to the night shift. It's the end of the night shift week. Tonight we do a thing we call Real Talk Wednesday, also known as Marlon's favorite night shift show. How you doing, each and every one?
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Big ups to each and everyone locked in on various platforms.
For y'all who want come scare me, pre this.
On TuneIn Radio, the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew.
This way them say, success must come.
PEMGTV.com.
Free today. Ashe, ashe, ashe.
And right here at kevinstew.com.
Me nah go run away. Run just
Home of the night shift.
ashe, ashe, ashe. Me nah feel no.
I want to thank you each and everyone for locking in.
Must prevail no.
And thank you for sharing it with your friends. And if you haven't done so yet, I encourage you to go do so now.
Well, me prepare so a different gear now. So say one, so say all. Righteousness that
Call a friend, tell a friend, hey,
they are share.
it's the closing out of the night shift week.
So say one, so say all. On life I call.
Kicking it off tonight with a little Caramante. Ashe, ashe, ashe.
Yeah. Alright. Yeah, a Caramanti. From the tribe PROMOTIONAL. For y'all who want come scare me, pre this. Alright. Send me no business where them say success must come my way. I declare it today. Ashe, ashe, ashe. From this me nah go stray. Me nah go run away. Run just so me a stay. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Me nah feel no. Me a seal down. Must prevail now. Loud and clear sound. Me no fear no. Them want smear oh. Well me prepare so a different gear now. So say one, so say all. Righteousness stand tall. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Good spirits cannot fall. So say one, so say all. On life I a call. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Good people cannot fall. Say me no business when them say success must come my way. I declare it today. Ashe, ashe, ashe. From this me nah go stray. Me nah go run away. Run just so me a stay. Ashe, ashe, ashe. In a Ghana, all a Canada, every corner. Me name a concert. Hold the order. Go link my father. Spirits me master. Energy starter. So say one, so say all. Righteousness stand tall. Ashe.
I want to say big ups to all those locked in
Spirits cannot fall.
in the stew pot.
So say all. On life I a call. Ashe.
Greetings to you all.
Good people cannot fall. Say me no business when them say success must come my way. I declare it today. Ashe, ashe, ashe. From this me nah go stray. Me nah go run away. Right just so me a stay. Ashe, ashe, ashe. They want me feel but yo that can't right. My heart clean, transparent, snow white. Work hard so you don't know me must rise. More fear, more crabs, well it's alright. Music to the end, so I'm going right. I've lyrics pan lyrics stack and pile. Passport stamp, no cara stay fly. Right now me no free no small guy. So say one, so say all. Righteousness stand tall. Ashe, ashe.
I want to say thanks to the Pulse Media Group for sponsoring this segment of the show.
Say one, so say
When being in the moment is priceless, give them a call
all. Ashe, ashe, ashe.
for your innovative streaming and recording solutions.
No business with them say
754-999-6020
clear it today. Ashe, ashe, ashe. From
or visit them at pulseemg.com.
right just so me a stay.
Tell them DJ Kevin Stew sent you.
Ain't no business when them say success must come my way. I declare it today. Ashe, ashe,
And you know what I can do for you? Everything you see right here on kevinstew.com and so much more. They can host your website, they can create your website,
stick to the
they
end.
can provide you with streaming services.
My lyrics stack and pile. Passport stamp, no cara stay fly.
I tell you,
No free no
all you have to do is call them up and say, hey, listen, you know,
so say
this is what I have in mind. What can you do for me?
Ashe,
How can you help me?
good spirits cannot fall. So say one, so say all. On life I a call. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Good people
Much respect, 1902.
Bring today, ashe, ashe, ashe. From this me nah go stray, me nah go run away. Right just so me a stay, ashe, ashe, ashe. Say me no business when them say success must come my way. I declare bring today, ashe, ashe, ashe. From this me nah go stray, me nah go run away. Right just so me a stay, ashe, ashe, ashe.
The sound of Caramonte. It's called Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. And if you're looking for it, it is A-S-E, A-S-E, A-S-E. Yeah, that's how it is spelled. Welcome to each and every one of you locked in right now. Like I said, it's Real Talk Wednesday, and we're closing out the night shift week with what we also call Marlon's favorite show. Marlon is the host of Real Rockers, Marlon Burrell. Real Rockers airs Mondays and Wednesdays right before this show from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time on various platforms. Follow him on social media. Follow Marlon on social media. Real Rockers Radio. That's ROCKAZ. And that is the best way to figure out where you are going to listen from. All right? Okay, cool. So, our topic tonight is, where did Negro come from? A couple weeks ago, because we didn't do a show last week. So 2 weeks ago, we did a show on where Caucasian came from. The Caucasus Mountains, and this German historian, what was he again? He was a German. He went there in search of history, looking for information. He came across these people and he thought, well, these must have been the people that God made, the chosen people. And this place is believed to be the place where Noah's Ark landed. So these must be the chosen people. It's up in the Caucasus Mountains, hence the Caucasians. Boom, bang. And there hence came this whole idea that the people of a fairer complexion would be from Caucasians, and people from the darker complexion are not. We're looking at the are nots tonight. And we're bringing you some information from a few places, a little bit from Wiki, a little bit from the African American Registry, a little bit from raceandhistory.com, and we'll put them all together and we'll get what we end up with tonight. I'm really not that much of a history buff, to be honest. But if we want to know where we're going, we have to know where we're coming from. Especially in these times when we are trying to make sure that our place is known by all. That everybody knows that we have a right to be wherever we want to be. And in the effort to do that, in the effort to have acceptance through enlightenment, we have to know what it is that we're accepting. We have to get the enlightenment. In the English language, Negro is a term historically used to denote persons considered to be of Negroid heritage. The term can be construed as offensive, inoffensive, or completely neutral, largely depending on the region or country where it is used, believe it or not. It has various equivalents in other languages out in Europe. Around 1442, the Portuguese first arrived in southern Africa. You got that date, right? 1442. While they were trying to find the sea route to India, the term Negro, literally meaning black, was used by the Spanish and Portuguese as a simple description to refer to the Bantu peoples that they encountered. Negro denotes black in Spanish and Portuguese, derived from the Latin word Niger, meaning black, which itself is probably from a Proto Indo European root, neck, to be dark, akin to knock, meaning night. Okay, cool. With me so far? So, Negro was also used of the peoples of West Africa in old maps labeled Negroland, an area stretching across along the Niger River. And interestingly enough, there is a picture of this map that I added. Let me go ahead and pull this up for you. So here we have this image of Negroland. You see it? Right there, the big Negroland. And this here is actually a European map of West Africa in 1736, and it included the archaic mapping designation of Negroland. And you can actually find this map on Wikipedia. So those of you who want to go looking, so it showed areas of Negroland and Guinea which were owned or claimed by England, by Holland, by Denmark. So it's pretty interesting to look at. And I was thinking about it as I was looking at it, and I was like, what does that look like today? Because if you look in the bottom left-hand corner of this map, you see the Atlantic Ocean, right? It is labeled as Atlantica Ocean. And you see Guinea, you see Negroland. Up at the top, you see Zara. It's spelled Zaara, desert, right? Spelled Desart. So, and there are some names of some places on this map that you'd find interesting. Like, there's a little section, that little round section just to the left of the word Guinea, where that place is called Mandiga. I don't know if that is where you get Mandingo from, but that's Mandinga. Now, it's not a history lesson about or a lesson in map reading. I know there are some people out there who map reading is just not their forte, so thank God for GPS. But this is an image of what was considered to be Negroland. Here's what this would look like today, courtesy of Google Maps. So here now is pretty much the same area, the same space. And I zoomed it and cropped it to pretty much match what this is, what the original picture is. So those of you who are not watching on kevinstew.com, you're missing out on this part of the class. To make it a little bit easier for you, what I'll do is I'll give you a side by side. Here you go. So you have both of them, and you're looking at what it was back in 1736 as presented, Negroland and Guinea. and what Google Maps presents. And you can see the names of the countries right there, just to give you an idea. So, and you can go ahead and look at it yourself in detail. You can find it on Wikipedia. Look up Negro. Yeah. So that's where I got that map from. Okay, cool. Now going back to our information here. Oh, for those of you watching, thank you. All right, so from the 18th century to the late 1960s, Negro was considered to be the proper English language term for people of black African origin, according to Oxford dictionaries, that is. They use the word now. Use of the word now seems a little bit out of date or even offensive in both British and US English. But you'll often hear some people using it nonetheless. Specifically, female form of the word negress was occasionally used. However, like Jewess, which I've never actually heard anybody use, but Jewess, like Jewess, it has pretty much fallen from use, because I've never heard anybody refer to a black female as negress either. Now, negroid has traditionally been used within physical anthropology. That's who he was, an anthropologist. Forgive me. It's been a long week, and we're only it's hump day, right? Happy hump day to you. I didn't wish you all a happy hump day, but so within physical anthropology, Negroid was used to denote one of three purported races of humankind, alongside Caucasoid and Mongoloid. The suffix oid, of course, means similar too. Now, Negroid, as a noun, was used to designate a wider or more generalized category than Negro. As an adjective, it qualified a noun, as in for Negroid features. Right? So, now, in the US, Negro superseded colored as the most polite word for African Americans at a time when black was considered more offensive. In 17th century colonial America, the term Negro had been also used, according to one historian, to describe Native Americans. John Belton O'Neill's The Negro Law of South Carolina in 1848 stipulated that the term Negro is confined to slave Africans. But not just to the slave Africans. It also was associated with their descendants. It does not embrace the free inhabitants of Africa, such as the Egyptians, the Moors, or the Negro Asiatics, such as the Lascars. The African Negro Academy was founded in 1897 to support liberal arts education. Marcus Garvey used the word in names of black nationalists and pan-Africanist organizations, such as the Universal Negro Improvement Association, which was founded in 1914, the Negro World in 1918, the Negro Factories Corporation in 1919, and the Declaration of the Rights of the Negro People of the World in 1920. W.E.B. Du Bois and Dr. Carter G. Woodson used it in their titles of their non-fiction books, The Negro in 1915 and The Miseducation of the Negro in 1933, respectively. Negro was accepted as normal, both an exonym and endonym, until the late 1960s. After the later civil rights movement, one well-known example of that is the identification by Martin Luther King Jr. of his own race as Negro in his famous I Have a Dream speech of 1963. However, during the 1950s and the 1960s, some black American leaders, notably Malcolm X, objected to the word Negro because they associated it with the long history of slavery. And I don't blame him. But it was also associated with segregation and discrimination that treated African Americans as second class citizens or even worse. Funny enough, all that kind of treatment still happens today in 2020. Now, Malcolm X preferred black to Negro, but also started using the term Afro-American after leaving the Nation of Islam. Since the late 1960s, various other terms have been more widespread in popular usage. These include black, black African, Afro-African, and later, African American. The word Negro fell out of favor by the early 1970s. However, many older African Americans initially found the term black more offensive than Negro. Not too sure why. It must be a psychological thing. You know, it's what they grew up hearing, grew up being used to hearing. So maybe they associate with that a whole lot easier. I don't know. The term Negro is still used in some historical contexts, such as songs known as Negro spirituals. The Negro leagues of sports in the early and mid 20th century, and organizations such as United Negro College Fund. The academic journal, published by Howard University since 1932, still bears the title Journal of Negro Education. But others have changed. Example, the Association of the Study of Negro Life and History, founded in 1915, became the Association for the Study of Afro-American Life and History in 1937, and is now the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. Its publication, the Journal of Negro History, became the Journal of African American History in 2001. Margot Jefferson titled her 2015 book Negroland, a memoir to evoke growing up in the 1950s and 60s in the African American upper class. The United States Census Bureau, catch this. If you didn't know before, you're gonna know it now. The United States Census Bureau included Negro on the 2010 census, alongside Black and African American. And they did this because some older Black Americans still identify with the term. The US Census now uses the grouping Black, African American, or Negro. Negro is used in efforts to include older African Americans who more closely associate with the term. Again, the psychology of it all. On the other hand, the term has been censored by some newspaper archives. Now, growing up in Jamaica, I can't say other than hearing it in rap songs or watching it on a show. I didn't really hear Negro being tossed around a lot in Jamaica. We were Jamaicans. And those who weren't black Jamaicans were either Chinese, white, or Coolie, or Indian. And that is that. There was nothing more to it than just that. So we didn't have the well, you'd hear people talk about, that's how and whomever it was classified as them or they. And that's how them deal with black people. And but outside of that, you didn't really hear about it. I didn't hear about it growing up in Jamaica. In the 80s, that wasn't a thing for me growing up. In the 90s, it wasn't a thing. Moving to the United States, however, you recognize that it's a thing. And not just any old thing, but it's a big thing. Because for whatever reason, a lot of Americans seem to be stuck in that period of 1848, where you have that Negro law of South Carolina. And the title of Negro that is slapped on and used to describe black people, those of those who were slaves and descendants of. Now, I don't know how many Americans today don't consider themselves descendants of slaves. But if you're going to adopt that right there, that law of South Carolina in 1848, then you can understand why people are using Negro today as a term to describe African Americans. Because it's a part of a psychological position. Whether they want to feel like they're superior or not. Whether they want to feel like black people are descendants of slaves. Whether they want to feel like black people are not as intelligent as white people, or, Caucasians. But listen, whether you want to use Caucasian or Aryan race, I asked a question the other day, and I didn't get an answer. I don't know why people didn't want to answer me. Where is this area that this Aryan race comes from? And you can use area any which way you want to use it. Area, ARYA, or AREA, whichever one you want to use, you can use. But where is it? It doesn't exist. So when you hear people talking about, oh, we are the Aryan race, I'm sorry, coming from where? Show me that on a map. Any map. Ancient or modern. Show me that place. Because I haven't found it yet. And I looked. So if somebody can find it for me, because I'm human, believe it or not. I make mistakes. So if I overlooked it, somebody please. 773-789-STEW. You can call, you can text, you can WhatsApp. Let me know where to find it. Email me, djkevinstew@gmail.com. Go to kevinstew.com and put the information in the contact me section at the bottom of the site. You have multiple ways. Skype me, Kevin.stew. You can find a way let me know where this area is that the Aryan race came from. We can identify where they say black people came from, the Negroes, because you see, they have a map. They call it Negro land. And of course, it wasn't the black people that created this map. So the white people that created it can call it anything they want to call it because they're marketing it to people that don't know. But we're going to take a quick little break. When we come back, we're going to look at what the African American Registry has to say about the word Negro as it relates to history. And that will give you another perspective. So call a friend, tell a friend. It's a night shift to DJ Kevin Stew. Real Talk Wednesday. We'll be right back. Well, I think we'll be right back. Okay, now I know we'll be right back.
Pulsey Media Group, innovative streaming and recording, has done it again. A new way to get your business in full view of your neighborhood consumer through AdShare TV. It's available in your neighborhood today. It's easy. Just call us 754-999-6020. Become a host today and place a TV monitor in a strategic location so it's easy to see. Get a 1-minute video ad or longer that plays anywhere in our network. Can't be a host? No problem. For a few dollars, we'll run your 30-second video ad. A host can run announcement specials like buy one get one free or discount ads. Let's turn your flyers into a 30-second video with music or a voiceover, or let us create and run your video ad with a spokesperson. Take advantage of our early enrollment discount. Join us today. Your ad will be seen at least 30 times per day in your AdShare TV neighborhood. It's easy. Just call us 754-999-6020. AdShare TV, part of Pulsey Media Group.
I'm Khalib Thompson.
I'm David Muir.
And we are the co-founders of a cultural nonprofit in Florida called Island Space.
For many reasons, now more than ever, we need the support of our communities.
As Caribbean Americans, we have the unique ability to claim everyone from the island as members of our Caribbean American family.
We are working to create a home for that family.
The Island Archives will become an internationally recognized museum of history.
Visitors can learn that although we are unique, we are truly stronger together.
Learn more at islandspacefl.org.
It takes an entire village to raise a child. Hello, I'm Paul Campbell, here to talk about Palace. Peace and Love Academic Scholarship. This nonprofit group supports students facing serious obstacles from entering or continuing their studies, not because the grades are failing, but due to the lack of financial support.
Over the past 8 years, Palace has awarded 600 scholarships valued at approximately 50.3 million Jamaican dollars, or 415,000 US dollars.
Together, we must build a better future for our children. Please visit www.palace1.org and make your donation to brighten the future of a deserving child. Palace, preserving young minds for posterity.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is working to help keep you and your community safe from the threat of novel or new coronavirus. Take the following everyday steps to help avoid the spread of all respiratory viruses. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue, Throw the tissue away and then wash your hands. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects or surfaces, such as remote controls and doorknobs. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. And stay home if you are sick. Call your healthcare provider if you develop fever, cough, or difficulty breathing. For more tips, visit cdc.gov.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today?
The only thing I didn't learn?
Is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
It's Christina representing for DJ Kevin. You see me, I say, I don't know the boss. You see me, I say, DJ Kevin's Stew and the night shift radio show. Yo, it at the thing, turn up the thing loud. Whoa, DJ Kevin's Stew have the heart of a champion. Never underestimate, just choose him. The silver line behind the dark clouds. DJ Kevin's Stew believe him, and that's no doubt. Salute the night shift radio show, Christina. It's a hot it up. Loud.
Humans getting abused, telling you the truth. For that proof, check the ruthless. Engage you from moving the root of human. 99% of leaders and teachers are useless. I don't care what I've been told. Outside the carnival, reflect the times of old. I've never blindly sold. Fat cats with rhymes I scold. Tech firms piggybacking on babies, mining gold.
There's a whole heap of love, I got a whole heap of love. There's a whole heap of love, be strong.
Let me tell you, there's a whole heap of love, I got a whole heap of love. You better trust me, brother. Come on, listen to me. Once loud, proud, now we got this aerial view. So when you're telling your crew, be prepared not to be scared. It's scary if you loving humanity, whatever you do. Cause I am human, and you are too. Come on.
You are too. Clap your hands together. Get it together, come on, baby. I love you. You belong. Stand for the right and not the wrong. Everybody have to get along, sing the song, stay strong. You go ahead, have the road long. See everybody have to get along. Alright, when it's on for the wrong and not the right. Still have to give them love tonight. Long sight soon come, them a step into the light. We have to give them love tonight.
The sound of Jimmy Lyons working out with Carpet Face. It's called The Human. I want to say thanks to Althea and her Healing Heavenly Hands for sponsoring this segment of the show. Althea SU is a licensed massage therapist operating out of Broad County, North Miami-Dade and South Palm Beach counties. Give her a call, 954-655-9000, or email her at thealater@att.net and see if you can get your appointment scheduled. thing you need to know. Althea comes to you. If you didn't know that before, you know it now. She comes to you, she brings her table, she has her oils. All you got to do, be ready. Make sure you pay her. And when she's done, get off her table. Go sleep somewhere else. Yeah, I said go sleep somewhere else because 9 out of 10 times you probably will fall asleep. Jimmy Lyons working out the carpet face. It's called Human. So tonight we ask the question, where did Negro come from? And, well, one bit of history lesson that we already got was that when the Europeans, the people from Portugal, some people from Spain, when they hit over there in Africa in search of you see, that's the other part of it, you know. They weren't going to Africa. They came across Africa in search of. And so, you know, they're like, okay, so here we have these people in this land. I don't know if anybody knew that these people existed, so we're going to say we discovered them. And that will be that. You know, we just found these people, like they were lost or something. You know, we just discovered them. But they were there all along, living their lives, doing their thing. And so the place where they lived was considered to be Negro land. So according to the African American Registry, we already know that Negro means black in both Spanish and Portuguese languages, being derived from the Latin word Niger, of the same meaning. Funny enough, you remember back on the map, you saw that place, Niger? Right. Now you connect the dots, right? Cool. And remember where we get our history from. So it may be, and when I say our history, I mean the history that we are aware of. Until we go to the source and we get the information ourselves, this is what we're working with. And from it we take bits and pieces and we join them together and we connect the dots. And this is a part of the connect the dots period. So the term Negro literally means, from the Spanish and the Portuguese, refer to black Africans and people of that heritage. And they use black from the 18th century to the mid 20th century. Negro was considered the correct and proper term for African Americans. It fell out of favor by the 1970s in the United States. Now, in current English language usage, Negro is considered acceptable in a historical context or in the name of older organizations, as in the United Negro College Fund, and is more commonly used more commonly by those born before the post-World War II baby boom. Lyndon B. Johnson was the last American president to publicly refer to the African American population as Negroes, to which, for much of his life, he gave the Texas pronunciation Negras, widely considered as an insult by African Americans. Before he left office, he had begun to employ the words blacks. In the 19th and 20th century, anthropologists used the related word negroid to refer to a race of people from Africa. This ended in the mid to late 20th century. The word has had a similar history in languages such as Italian. Currently, in Italy, using the term Negro to refer to a black person would be considered a racist insult, suggestive of fascist opinions. Yet in Portuguese, the socially accepted term nowadays is Negro, literally black, while preto, meaning in this context black-skinned, usually is seen as a possible insult because of the societal color bias. But today, some Portuguese people and Portuguese-speaking Africans prefer the term preto in opposition to branco, or white, than Negro, which also can mean dirty. So you see how many different meanings have been given to the word Negro. Most of them negative. In French, negre was the word generally used in the 19th century and earlier times to describe black persons of African origin. It now has heavy colonial undertones, and the word noir, literally black, is always used instead, except occasionally when specifically discussing slavery or colonialism, or when negre is used as slang for ghostwriters. In Argentina and Cuba, now get this is where it's really interesting. In Argentina and Cuba, Negro, or negra for the females, is a word commonly used to refer to friends or people in general, and does not, I repeat, does not have a racist connotation. For example, one may say to a friend, "Oye, negrito, ¿cómo estás?" Literally, that translates as, "Hey, black man, how are you doing?" Here, Negro is used in its diminutive form, negrito, as a term of endearment, meaning pal, or buddy, or friend. Negrito has come to be used to refer to a person of any ethnicity or color, and also can have a sentimental or romantic connotation, similar to sweetheart or dear in the English language. In the Philippines, negrito was used for a local dark-skinned short people living in the Negros Island. Oh, did you know that there was such an island chain? Yeah, it's the Negros Islands, among other places. In other Spanish-speaking South American countries, the word Negro can also be employed in a roughly equivalent form, though it's not usually considered to be as widespread as in Argentina or Cuba, except perhaps in a limited regional or social context. In Cuba, moreno is used for a black person. In other parts of the Spanish-speaking world, moreno means just tanned or brunette. In the post-Soviet states, the word nigger, N-E-G-R, derived from Negro, commonly refers to somebody with the African ethnic roots. Because the majority of the population has seen such people only on television or in films, the word nigger, N-E-G-R, does not have any negative aftertaste. The direct translation of black, which is chudronage, and it's spelled C-H-J-O-R-N-Y-J, refers nowadays to people from the southern regions of the former Soviet Union, That's round about Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia, those parts of the former Soviet Union, and is considered a racist insult when you use that word. The word Svenznaj, Smet, and that's CVE. Listen, it's a foreign language. It's CVETNOJ. Svetnaj. It literally means colored. Is also socially unacceptable in most layers of society. Controversy around the word Negro has spread to many languages, to a greater or lesser extent, because many have come to perceive the usage of any word similar to Negro with respect to black people in any language as a possible form of insult. Internationally, there is no definite consensus. Personally, what I think it is that the influence that the United States has had over the world through entertainment has caused the spread of the negative connotation. That's just my opinion. Anybody else with a different opinion, you're free to share it. Give me a call, give me a text, jump into the stewpot on kevinstew.com. That's that place that others call a chat room. And our fanciness over here on kevinstew.com, we call it the stewpot. You can go in there, make your comments. You can call me, 773-789-STEW, 773-789-7839. Call, text, WhatsApp, email, djkevinstew@gmail.com, Skype, kevin.stew. Talk to me. It's an interactive show. We talk to each other around here. So, while some argue that prevailing attitudes in the United States and elsewhere should not always be taken into account when deciding what words people should use in other languages, others try to avoid using Negro or its variants, as they have come to consider that to be possibly offensive. Implementing this decision is not always easy, because in some languages, the word for black is not considered to be a better alternative at all. In Russian, Chornage is a name for minorities, like Chechens. In Estonian, in Estonian, must also means dirty. Other options are dark-skinned or African. Many languages, however, presently do not have any widely accepted alternatives for an alternative to Negro that is more neutral or positive in its associations. Some Spanish-speaking people have adopted the term negrito or even azulito, the diminutive of azul, the color blue, instead of negro, to avoid the insulting connotation of the word in English, especially around English-speaking people who do not know Spanish. A specifically female form of the word negress was sometimes used, but again, like I said before, it fell out of use. Now, both negress and Jewess are considered to be racist, just as a point of reference, so that you know. Now, as with other racial, ethnic, and sexual words that are seen in pejoratives, some individuals have tried reclaiming the word. An example of this is artist Kara Walker in the US. Some African Americans may also use the term playfully among themselves, as you see, you can't please Negroes. Some people, you hear people using that. They use that playfully among themselves. And you find that especially in the American South and other areas with higher percentages of African American people. Now, such usage is similar to that of the word nigger, although it is generally not considered profanity and is less offensive, which is really interesting because you'll find some black people using the word nigger, Nigga, and they would use it to, they use it as a classification for their friend. You know, you find that they would be hailing them from across the street and saying, yo, my nigga, what's going on? And they're cool with it. But let it be someone from another race. Now we're having problems. So it's really interesting. But what I found most interesting when I first came across this article was what was happening in other parts of the world with using the word Negro. Because for them, they didn't recognize the offensiveness of it. So if it wasn't for the whole life of slaves in America, if it wasn't for the segregation, if it wasn't for the movies depicting what the whole slave trade and what black life was like in America, would there be a negative connotation to it? In the stew pot, someone says, I really don't like black people using the word nigger or negro or nigger. And you know what? I have come to recognize it as being offensive also. However, when growing up in Jamaica, it wasn't. I don't know if it was because it was mostly black people that were around and it was black people using it with black people. I don't know. I don't know if it was because the whole slave trade thing wasn't that big of a deal in Jamaica when I was growing up versus here in the US. I don't know. It could have been because I just didn't know the history. So I had nothing to be upset about. Again, I don't know. What I do know is that there's a history behind it. And tonight we've been looking at that history behind the word Negro and the connotations and the fact that the people that created it, funny enough, had created it way before they started using the word Caucasians. Isn't that interesting? What is even more interesting is the next bit of information that I'll be presenting to you, courtesy of raceandhistory.com. Now, this bit, when I read this, I was like, yo, what else? What else? What else is there? What else do we not know? What else have we not been told? What other bit of information do we need to go searching for to get a little bit of insight into this thing? What else? Well, we're going to find out some more in just a few as we take a little break. Oh, where's this? Okay, here we go. Yeah, we're going to take a little break. And when we come back, we find out about the creation of the Negro. Thanks to raceandhistory.com. We'll be right back. Matthew 28:19 says, Go ye therefore and teach all nations. With this in mind, and encouragement received during a South Florida media conference, That Church Links was birthed. The Church Links is an interdenominational worship service portal for churches, providing the tools to spread the word through technology in a cost-effective way. The Church Links, www.dahchurchlinx.com. Your links to worship and praise.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others, and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Come on, smile. Oh, honey, he's still not smiling.
Maybe he's not a smiler.
Yeah, maybe he's just not a happy baby.
Maybe he's just being a boy.
Or maybe he's teething.
Maybe it's just a phase.
Maybe he has autism, and we can definitely do something to help.
Maybe is all you need to find out more about autism. No big, joyful smiles by 6 months is one early sign. Learn the others at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
When being in the moment is priceless, consider the ability to share that moment. If you can video it, you can broadcast it. And Pulse E-Media Group has the tools you need. Weddings, birthdays, funerals, graduations, church services, parties, seminars, you name it. Pulse E-Media Group can provide you with a secure medium controlled by you to broadcast your event. Contact us at www.pulsemediagroup.com for more information. Pulse E-Media Group, when being in the moment is priceless. Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.
Hey yo, this is Caramanti letting you know that right about now you are logged on to DJ Kevin Stew on the Night Shift. Don't move.
It's been a long time coming. Are you ever gonna change? Are you ever gonna to take advice for how I'm feeling? It's been a long time running, and I know you wanna stay. So I think that it is time we live like we used to. Right all around the city singing with the top down. Let's take it back to when we were younger. It's been a long time coming, so put on a happy face. Grab my hand so we can let all of our troubles out. There's no cares tonight. Take me for a ride. Even when the stars are going light, even when it's dark and you lose your mind. Oh, right in the moment when your head is confused. Oh, I will stay in the madness with you. Oh,
sound of Royce. The track is called Madness. I want to say thanks to Reggae Global Entertainment for sponsoring this segment of the show. Reggae Global Entertainment will take care of your tour management, your bookings, your publishings, your copyright, your business registrations, your music production, and so much more, including marketing and promotions. Give them a call, 954-998-8034, or visit them at reggaeglobalentertainment.com. That's the title of the track, Madness. She goes by the name Royce. Yeah, nice little track. I always liked it. Nice little bones to it. And talk about madness. Well, let me hit you up with a little bit of madness right here. The name that you respond to determines the amount of your self-worth. You ever gave any consideration to that? The name you respond to determines the amount of your self-worth. Now, similarly, the way a group of people collectively respond to a name can have devastating effects on their lives, particularly if they do not choose the name. Asians come from Asia and have pride in the Asian race. Europeans come from Europe and have pride in the European accomplishments. Negroes, I am to assume, the writer says, come from Negro land, a mythical country with an uncertain past and an even more uncertain future. Since Negro land is a myth, well, except on that map that I showed you earlier, where did the myth of the Negro originate? The key to understanding what a Negro is to understand the definition of that word and its origin. The word Negro, and we've been touching on this all night, the word Negro is Spanish for black. The Spanish language comes from Latin, which has its origins in classical Greek. The word Negro in Greek is derived from the root necro. Now pay attention. The word necro means dead. What was once referred to as a physical condition is now regarded as an appropriate state of mind for millions of Africans. Historically, when the Greeks first traveled to Africa 2,500 years ago, the Egyptian civilization was already ancient. The Great Pyramid was over 3,000 years old, and the Sphinx, well, that was even older. Writing, science, medicine, and religion were already a part of the civilization and had reached their zenith. The Greeks came to Africa as students to sit at the feet of the masters and to discover what Africans already knew. In any student-teacher relationship, the teacher can only teach as much as the student is capable of understanding. We know that. Because, let's face it, at some point in time in our lives, we're all teachers. Parents, uncles, aunts, older siblings were teachers. Egyptians, like other Africans, understood that life existed beyond the grave. Ancestral worship is a way of acknowledging the lives of the people who have come before you and their ability to offer guidance and direction to the living. Temples were designed as places where ancestors could be honored, and holidays or holy days where the ancestors could be honored, and the holy days were the days designated to do so. The Egyptians had hundreds of temples and hundreds of holy days. And they used these days to worship their ancestors. The Greeks thought the Africans had a preoccupation with death. The act of ancestral worship became known as necromancy, or communication with the dead. You with me so far, right? Cool. The root word necro means dead. Another word for necromancy is magic. That old black magic which was participated in, or which was practiced in ancient Africa. When the Greeks returned to Europe, they took their distorted beliefs with them, and the word Negro evolved out of this great misunderstanding. Less than 300 years after the first Greeks came to Egypt as students, their descendants returned as conquerors. They destroyed the cities, temples, and libraries of the Egyptians and claimed African knowledge as their own. Sounds familiar? Not only was the African legacy stolen, but also the wholesale theft of African people soon followed. With the birth of the slave trade, it became necessary to dehumanize Africans and devalue their historical worth as a people in order to ensure their value as slaves. You dumb them down. You make them believe that they are less than they are. You divide them, you can conquer them. You break their spirits, you break their souls, you break their minds, and you have taken control. So, the Negro, a race of dead people with a dead history and no hope for resurrection as long as they remained ignorant of their past. This was a triple death. The death of the mind, the death of the body, and the death of the spirit of the African people. It was strictly forbidden for Negro slaves to learn to read and write. Such knowledge was the key to liberation and was placed firmly out of reach. As Negroes became educated, however, they sought to redefine themselves. The evolution of the word Negro from colored to black to African represents a progression of self-awareness. As a free people, we have a responsibility to educate ourselves and to rediscover our identities. Knowledge of self is the key to unlocking the door to the future. What bit of knowledge are you going to look for? What bit of history are you going to look into? Again, if you don't know where you're coming from, how much of an idea of where you're going are you going to have? Recognize your past. You don't have to live in it. Recognize it. Be aware of it so that you can channel your future. We are the ones that can shape the future for our children. Our children are the ones who, with the knowledge that we are going to give to them and we have been giving to them, they are the ones that are going to change everything. But it starts with us. And that us, if you're listening to this now, if you listen to this, if you go back to the archives and you listen to it 10 years from now, that is still the us to whom I refer. Because us the people of the time, we need to be aware of where we're coming from, aware of where we want to go. And in order to get there, we need to unite to do it. We need to have a collective mindset. I'm not saying that we need to become robots or become drones or clones of each other. No. I'm just saying we need to have an understanding, and we need to have a mutual understanding. So then we can develop together and help each other to develop. And we can go back to what we actually know, where the village grows. And the village grows because of support of each other. What happened in Tulsa in 1921, that was no fluke. When the people of Greenwood got together and built that community and had wealth in that community, that was no fluke. That was connecting with what was a part of them. Because that was where we came from. We're stronger together, and we have always been. We're unstoppable when we unite. People are going out and they're protesting and causing change. We're stronger when we unite. Why does it have to come with bloodshed? Why does it have to come with destruction? Well, you got to break it down to build it up, right? You break it down so we can rebuild it bigger and better. I'm not saying go and destroy buildings. I'm saying let's destroy mindsets. That's like saying the church lied to us all along. And, you know, one of the things going around lately is one of the biggest images of psychological oppression is the white Jesus. When you look into it, where it is said Jesus came from, where it is said that the history began, because the Bible is a history book. This is where the first people were. If you look at historically how their genetic makeup, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, light-skinned, fair-skinned individual, no, that can't be Jesus. But it doesn't stop there. When you look at things like the map, and you realize, wait a minute, really and truly, the sizes of some of these countries are not the actual sizes. Now you start thinking, wait a minute, maybe, just maybe, this country is not as big and as bad as they'd like us to believe. So why are we bowing down to them? Why are we giving them that kind of power? It's psychological warfare. And that was used to break the African people. Again, the Greeks came to Africa to learn. That means everything was already there. To this day, nobody knows how the pyramids were built, and they can't reproduce it. That kind of knowledge, you don't just stumble across it. And where were these pyramids built? What do the people of that land look like? These are the things that we need to make register in our heads. Because that right there is superior thinking. That right there is creativity. ingenuity. The fact that the pyramids align with certain stars. Astrology? Wait. From back then? But they didn't have telescopes. How? Well, if the history wasn't destroyed, then we would have known. And as anthropologists find bits and pieces of that history now, they connect some of the dots. But if a lot of what is discovered is revealed, then it will probably start a revolution, because now people are aware. See, that thing called knowledge, that's where the power is. And, you know, they would say, you want to hide something from a black man, you put it in a book. Well, that is coming from the whole idea that you don't allow black people to learn to read. Because the black people were the slaves, and the slaves weren't allowed to be literate. Because if they were literate, then they could do the same things that the white people could do. And they weren't having that. Because they were considered, what? 3/5 of a man? Yet there were none stronger. In fact, there's some bit of information that I need to give to you before I get out of here. This was sent to me yesterday. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I need to present a piece of this. So, here we go. The Negro marriage, or the nigger marriage. We breed 2 nigger males with 2 nigger females. Then we take the nigger male away from them and keep them moving and working. Say one nigger female bears a nigger female and the other bears a nigger male. Both nigger females being without influence of the nigger male image, frozen with an independent psychology, will raise their offspring into reverse positions. The one with the female offspring will teach her to be like herself, independent and negotiable. We negotiate with her, through her, by her. We negotiate her at will. The one with the nigger male offspring, she being frozen with a subconscious fear for his life, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak, but physically strong. In other words, body over mind. Now, in a few years, when these 2 offsprings become fertile for early reproduction, we will mate and breed them. Continue the cycle. That is good, sound, and long-range comprehensive planning. That is black and white. That's in a book. That was a mindset. And that was the way that it was worked. Catch this. From the Encyclopedia Britannica. This is the beginning of the entry for Negro in the 1798 Encyclopedia Britannica, the first American edition of the English project modeled upon the great encyclopedia. Negro, a name given to a variety of the human species who are entirely black and are found in the torrid zone, especially in that part of Africa which lies within the tropics. In the complexion of Negroes, we meet various shades, but they likewise differ far from other men in all the features of their face, round cheeks, high cheekbones, and forehead somewhat elevated, a short, broad, flat nose, thick lips, small ears, ugliness, and irregularity of shape. These characterize their external appearance. The Negro women have the loins greatly depressed and very large buttocks, which give the back the shape of a saddle. Vices, the most notorious, seem to be the portion of this unhappy race. Idleness, treachery, revenge, cruelty, impudence, stealing, lying, profanity, debauchery, nastiness, and intemperance. Sorry, I couldn't see that. It was kind of blurred. These are said to have extinguished the principles of natural law and have silenced the reproofs of conscience. They are strangers to every sentiment of compassion and are an awful example of the corruption of man when left to himself. Homo peli nigra, or Negro. The beginning of the entry for Negro in the 1798 Encyclopedia Britannica. Who were the people that were reading this? Not the black people. Because in America, they were not yet free. So there were slaves. Slaves weren't allowed to read. So if this is what white people were being taught, the European Americans, not Caucasians, because, well, Caucasus is kind of a mythical place. But if this is what the white people, the European Americans, were being taught, is it not understood why they're so misguided? Can you not see that, well, in their education, they're misled? To put it really bluntly, this was just some dumb teaching. Because everything that is said here goes against what was found in Africa, what was found in Egypt, what was found in Ethiopia. This does not add up. But yet still, here we have the Encyclopedia Britannica, the revered place where you go to find answers. This is a lie. This is a place you go to find this lie. One of the biggest lies ever told. Again, the vices of the Negro. Unhappiness, idleness, treachery, revenge, cruelty, impudence, stealing, lying, profanity, debauchery, nastiness, intemperance. All these associated with black people. Where would you have learned it? If you could go and gather these people up in such a way that you could make slaves out of them, how then do all these apply? Does it add up? Does it make sense? And if it makes sense to you, I suggest you revisit that and come again.
I see
illusion. I see them love. Oh yes, I see them. Lost in delusion. And now they reside in a state of confusion. Rwanda.
You know, I see your comment where you say it's the beginning of racism. Hold up, Nikki. Hold up. The track here is called Lost in Illusion. Artist goes by the name Nikki Blaze. I see your comment in the stew pot, which says the beginning of racism. To get to this point, do you really think that this is the beginning of racism? Or is this just a documentation of what racism was catapulted from? When you, again, remember, slavery was way before this, because it was the Egyptians that went over into other parts of Africa that where they went to learn, and they came back 300 years later and conquered not the Egyptians, the Europeans, the Greeks, my bad, the Greeks, when they came to Africa. Right. Racism began way before slavery began. Because the Greeks came over to the Africans and called what their holy days and their worship of their ancestors and their communications with their ancestors, they called it black magic, necromancy. So now you have this mindset going, and it went on, and it grew and it grew and it grew for years. It became indoctrinated in this set of people. Now, here's the interesting thing. We're coming to a time when you don't find just white people and just black people, because all the races have blended. So, what now? Who gets called what name? Who is told that their people, the way to describe them is to say that their vices include impudence, stealing, lying, profanity, revenge, cruelty? When you hear all of these things, who comes to mind? Think about it. Close your eyes and listen to them again. Idleness, treachery, revenge, cruelty, impudence, stealing, lying, profanity, debauchery, nastiness, intemperance. When you hear all of those things, who are the people that come to mind? Is it the ones that you would find helping each other and lifting each other up and encouraging each other, or the ones who tell you lies to get positions? Is it the ones who hold themselves or deem themselves to be better than others? And who generally fits that description? That is where you start erasing some lines that were drawn. That is where you start changing the story that was told. Because now you know who is being described with these vices. It's not those black people. It's not those Africans. And if they are being described that way, it is because of the situation that they're put in. It is because they're reacting to something. Because that is not the way they were found.
See them love. Oh yes, I see them. Lost in illusion. Lost in illusion. I see them love. Oh yes, I see them. Lost in delusion. see them love. Oh yes, I see them. Lost in illusion. Lost in illusion. I see them love. Oh yes, I see them. Lost in delusion. And now they reside in a state of confusion. Rwanda, Haiti, down in Darfur, Jamaica, they're crying out for murder, murder, hunger. Why can't we come together and help one another? It only takes but one to start a revolution. Please don't play into the illusion. Oh, I see them lost, yeah. Yeah, I see them lost, yo, in a state of confusion. Wake up, wake up, wake up, yeah. Oh, I see them lost. I see them lost. I see them running, running, running. Oh, I see them running. Oh, my people lost. Oh, my people lost, yeah. I wanna tell it to you now. I see them lost, lost in illusion, yeah. I see them lost, oh, lost in delusion, yeah. My people, you lost, oh. I see them love. Oh yes, I see them. Lost in illusion. Lost in illusion. I see them love. Oh yes, I see them. Lost in delusion. And now they reside in a state of confusion. I see them love. Oh yes, I see them. Lost in illusion. I see them love. Oh yes, I see them. In illusion. Yeah.
That was the sound of Nikki Blaze.
Is it getting better? What do you feel?
This is Cesar. His rendition of U2's One.
Make it easier on you now. You've got someone to blame. Well, it's one love, one life, it's one need, the night, one life, it's a day, leaves you, baby, if you don't care.
I want to say thanks to GMAT Music Solutions for sponsoring this segment of the show. GMAT Music Solutions provides sound, light, and stage production services, musical equipment, audio DJs, audio engineers, DJs, musicians, singers, and so much more. Give them a call, 754-307-GMAC. That's 754-307-4622.
Bad taste in your mouth.
Or visit them at gmatmusicsolutions.com.
You act like you never had love, and you want me to go without. Well, it's too late tonight to drag the past out into the light. We're one, but we're not the same. We get to carry each other, carry each other. Whoa. Have you come here for forgiveness? Have you come to raise blessings and castaway curse. In a content of water, the rules and the
This is new music
there is no
coming from Black Dillinger.
quality driving in the hearse.
From the compilation called Mama Africa. This is African People.
To see righteousness is a special to me. We all should be happy and free. Stay away from the life of envy.
This courtesy of Naya Bless Music.
No shoes on our feet, still we won't hurt defeat.
Teaming up with Jamrock Promotions. Jamrock Productions, sorry.
Like a sheep, we all should be prepared now.
Album produced by Houghton Brown and France Richards.
It's a world of vanity affair, so I'll make it clear. Together in unity, we are one family. Oh yeah, my African people, yeah. Stay away from the line of evil, yeah. Count your blessings and castaway curse. In a content of water, the fools and thirst. There is no justice and equality. Driving in the hearse. David's no Goliath. We need sling and the stone. Yeah. Samson through the Philistines. We ain't doggy jump on. They stone is all our own. So we must come back home. They treat us like we were made out of stone. Chanted with good powers and soul. They treat us like those without bone. Classing us like kings without throne. What goes around must come around. Once you are down, they'll keep you down. They address us, black people and promo. Sell us like stocks in a market downtown. Oh, yeah. My African people.
Against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that he may be able to withstand in evil day, and having done all to stand. So when the devil come collect, yeah, me only hope you have him check, yeah. This are not like the internet, yeah. You can log off or disconnect, yeah.
This is Caramanti.
So just be careful where you step, yeah.
It's called Stand.
We running a mess, yeah. And this you must never forget, yeah. I got that alone can clear your debt, yeah. Let me tell you why. Cause spiritual teachings what we need that we meditate and pray at the key that the physical and mental full enough trouble. If you're not wise, you lose your life, your spirit get knocker. But me no stupid Caramanti and no eat that. No fear no for me, I saw everything me see that. Only a fool would proclaim there is no God. But I kill them with the factor. So when the devil come collect, yeah, me only hope you have him check, yeah. This are not like the internet, yeah. You can log off or disconnect, yeah. So just be careful where you step, yeah. Cause you be running a mess, yeah. And this you must never forget, yeah. I got that alone can clear your debt, yeah. Them a move to them fast. Them a sell them soul and a run past. God rule, God ways and God last. And I talk about right just get lost. For me not free them just cause my God directing my path. His will be done not my land. Come meet some meat, that's my task. And me no bow down to no man, no, no. Me not do nothing wrong for the things start blow. Yo, every day me work that I see me a sow. And me trust God for make the thing grow. So when the devil come collect, yeah, me only hope you have him check, yeah. This are not like the internet, yeah. You can log off or disconnect, yeah. So just be careful where you step, yeah. Cause you be running a mess, yeah. And this you must never
The words of Caramanti.
I got that look at clear your debt, yeah. Let me tell you why. Cause spiritual teachings what we need that we meditate and pray at the key that the physical and mental full enough trouble.
You know, the Greeks went over there to Africa and said the Africans were all hung up on worshipping the dead. But when you look at religion as we know it, what do we do?
Oh, well now. Yes. Ooh, who's done it? Yeah.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say worshipping the dead. Communicating constantly with the dead. Right?
They say it takes love to make the world go round.
This is Ed Robinson.
Even though we know
as we go through our musical therapy.
Make it all tumble down.
This is called The More We Are Together.
That what goes up don't always come back down. No, but when it goes around, we know it's have to come back around. So if you're digging one pit, my brother, better you just dig two. And if you're setting one trap, my sister, set another one for you. Don't you know things are always never what they seem? No, my reality could sometimes be your dream. The more we are together, the happier we shall be. The more we stand together, the stronger we shall be. Yes, the more we are together, the happier we shall be. The more we stand together, the stronger we shall be. Yeah. Instead of building walls, let's build bridges instead. Instead of fighting wars, let peace go ahead. Remember, today is for you, but tomorrow's for me. Yeah. The light has been shining for you. Don't be so blind to see. Yeah. Things are always never what they seem. No, my reality could sometimes be your dream. The more we are together, the happier we shall be. The more we stand together, the stronger we shall be. Yes, the more we are together, the happier we shall be. The more we stand together, the stronger we shall be. This is a warning. Whatever goes around will come back around. This is a warning. Don't let your walls come tumbling down. This is a
Lord, watch over me with thy rod and staff. As I travel these streets, day out, day in. Protect those dearest to me with a ready sword. Let no harm come to them from the enemies. Many said there's no God, so they infiltrate and manipulate the simple and innocent. Polluting the minds, their agenda. Imposing laws of their sinful cause they want us to accept. I stand resilient. I know. Every knee shall bow and every tongue confess. I stand resilient.
we close out the night shift week with the sound of Hezron. The track is called Resilience. I want to thank each and every one of you for locking in and tuning in and sharing this past week. The night shift comes back on Monday, right after Real Rockers with Marlon Burrell.
Not even like the terminology.
I'm on right here, kevinstew.com from 10 to midnight Eastern time. And I want to encourage you to look out for members of your community right now, though, as we go into the strong end, the end of the week. And remember that your members of your community doesn't just end in the development that you live in. It spreads far and wide. So those that you pass as you traverse and go through your day, people that you pass on the bus, on the plane, on the boat, on the train, whether you walk, ride or drive, these are members of your community. These are your neighbors. Do something good for one of them today, because you never know who's going to do something good for you tomorrow. My name is DJ Kevin Stew, so I like to do it to you, for you, and with you. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 10 to midnight, right here, kevinstew.com on the night shift. I do encourage you to be good. Sometimes I feel alone. But if you can't be good, just go ahead and be good at it, yeah? Until next time, good afternoon, good day to you.
I'm not a perfect man, Lord.
Good morning, wherever you are in the world.
Yeah.
From right here in South Florida, I bid you good night.
Sitting in the council of
you take care.
Cause I know with you things are possible. No weapon can come against me. With you, victory's guaranteed. I stand resilience. I know. Cause I know. Every knee shall bow. Every tongue confess. Resilience. So none of my blood goes straight in there. Sometimes I feel alone. On the back I feel alone. But I know I'm not. Cause I see now. What you know of me. I'm resilient. And that's why I'm resilient. Cause you Jah rules and reigns. Jah rules and reigns. I stand resilient.
Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The night shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.